A young man who is an adoptee sits staring at himself in the reflection of a window. Why am I always wrong? What did I do that was so wrong? Why do I feel different to those around me, and no one understands? I have tried to explain the past, and people look at me with either a blank expression or advice that has no relevance. When I look at my mom, my adoptive mother, I try so hard to connect to her. But I also remember the mother who gave birth to me. I wonder why she didn't want me, and the hurt takes over me as I am trying to feel connected to the mother who is raising me. I try and stop the bad emotions, but they won't go away. I struggle with emotions I cannot make sense of, and they overwhelm me, keeping me separate from everyone around me. I sit here in my room and look out of the window. I can see the way I look at the world, the pain I carry inside, the sadness that lingers in my eyes. Sometimes I catch myself smiling, and it feels foreign, something I don't recognize because it doesn't reach my eyes. I am a collection of shattered pieces, broken fragments that no one sees except me. I feel like an outsider looking into a world that doesn't want me. They say that children are our future, that we should invest in them, give them all the love and support, so they can grow up to be functioning members of society. But what about the ones who didn't get that chance, who grew up in the shadows, forgotten and alone? What about the ones who were never given a fair shot at happiness? I wasn't given a choice when I was adopted. I didn't get to pick the family I was adopted by, or the family that gave me up so easily. Why did my birth mother give me up? What did she see in me that made her not want me? Am I that much of a mistake? These questions echo in the back of my mind, catching me every time I try and forget, or start to feel some enjoyment or fun. How can I ever connect with my adoptive mother, when a part of me will always belong to the mother who gave birth to me? A mother who didn't want me, who saw me as a burden instead of a blessing. A mistake to be forgotten. How can I ever learn how to trust someone again when I have been betrayed by the only two people who are supposed to love me unconditionally, my mother and father? I am stuck in this prison, not of my making, trapped in a body that I didn't choose to be in, and a situation that seems unsolvable. I didn't ask for this life. No one asked me if I wanted to be adopted, if I wanted to be someone else's problem. Being expected to make everything work out, when I have no idea as to how. I didn't get to have a say in any of it. And now I'm here, broken and misunderstood, trying to piece together a life that makes sense, trying to find a reason to keep going when every day is a struggle to simply exist.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening all, it's Bear here. And I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel, A Box With No Lid. A channel I'm creating not just to bring the awareness around the lived reality of trauma, complex trauma, removal trauma, the world that is adoption and the world that is foster care. But I also like to bring forward what I've learned through my own personal journey and my own personal experiences as I am an adoptee. And also my many years and what I've learned through the many years of being a practitioner and an advocate. All for the simple hope that something you may learn or hear here will not only be supportive in your own healing journey, but also to help understand the world that is adoption and the world that is foster care, so that we can broaden the abilities for all of us that have lived through it to heal. Now, like I said in the last video, in this video, as you can see from the claymation leading into this video, I want to try to get across to people why adoptees and those that come from foster care, we so often can feel a positive and a negative emotion when we engage with situations and people. Like I've said in several videos, the core trauma triggers associated that we respond to are all associated with human interaction and human connection, because our trauma is removal trauma. Our trauma is placement trauma, and all that is involved in the process of placement. And like I said in the last video, there is the chaos of the process of removal, but then there's also trauma associated with processing and how you make sense of the roles. And to put it, like I showed in the claymation, in a simple format, when you take an infant from their biological mother at birth and you place them with another woman, and that woman needs to be called mom, or is put in a position of being called mom, or being a mother to that child, that infant has to process and transfer from the person that they have all the biological cues to be able to work with the connection, and create a process to attach to the woman a stranger that they're being told is your mother. There is no biological cues to reference them as your mother. An infant or a child has to create them. And that is the same for father, that is the same for non-biological siblings and grandparents and extended family, and even down to race and nationality when you look at cross-cultural adoption. That is a trauma. That is a trauma mechanism and a trauma process. Because you are expecting an infant or a child to transfer across without consequence. And this is why I had to separate this from the chaos of removal, because there are two parts and all of it engages around how we connect and how we attach. The process of transferring from biological markers to learning how to connect and go, well, this person's, they say they're my mother, they have to be. They say my father, they have to be. That process is separate from, it's a learned process, not a natural process, as I've explained in numerous videos. That ball of neurological energy, of response energy, of process energy, of adrenaline, is a part of our trauma response and a part of our trauma triggers, and also a part of why there is a gap between us and the people we connect to. There are adoptees and those who have gone through foster care who have come across amazing adoptive parents and amazing foster carers, long-term foster carers, that through the process of interactions, they've co-regulated, they've built and processed this emotional ball, this neurological ball of chaos and trauma, and have come out the other side of it. That's how I know that this can be healed. And if we can learn from those that truly have positive outcomes from their adoption and their foster care, we can start to see the reasons and the steps and what is needed for us that have negative experiences to heal. What needs to happen in our physical lives for that process to unfold, that healing to process through and unfold. But we also need to understand that it is there, and we need to value that it is there. The core of why we could feel a positive and a negative with our intimate connections is because there is a positive and a negative. Yes, I can, really want to connect to my adopted mother. But there's a trauma of why my biological mother didn't want me, why I was taken from her, why I wasn't good enough, and everything associated with how we've personally made sense of that as part of that connection. That's the negative trying to become a positive. The process engages more cognitive views of attachment rather than the physical views of attachment, which is the core of the last dozen or so videos I've been trying to get across. Is there's a reason why our body doesn't engage as naturally as it should in interactions with those we are close to. That feeling of closeness, the physicality and the felt sense of closeness, is because of all this chaos, because of all this trauma, and how our triggers are all associated with attachment and engagement with people, interactions with people, connections to people. When you're triggered, you shut down. When you're triggered, cognitive brain doesn't work so well. We cannot process or work things out. We just instinctively create this grey engine of running and playing roles rather than becoming and developing ways and learning how to be part of. Co-regulation is at the core of healing this. And as I said, I know of adoptees that have wonderful experiences, and it was a process getting to those experiences. But their adoptive parents were present and aware to be able to give that infant and that child growing up in that home everything they needed to process and heal. And as I said, we can learn from that to develop ways for those of us where our adoptions or our placements failed, so that we can. I really hope you guys value and understand where this comes from. And I really hope you're getting the understanding of what it is I'm trying to convey here. Because with this sort of a medium, awareness is all I can really do through this. But the more of us that we can get to understand that this is why these things happen, the more human thought can go to the resources we need to process this. and to be able to heal, and the conversations that we all so desperately need to have around this with those that are in our inner circles, so that we can get to the places where we can. As I said, I really hope you guys understand where I'm coming at with this, and as always, I love you guys' comments and feedback. Please hit the like and share button, please subscribe, stay safe, be mindful, be respectful, and I will see you all next time. Hope.